trying a trick. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it or try to hide what I'm doing here. The submarines aren't real moniker or title. Seems to bring more people than anything else. So the reality is the ultimate goal of this thing, of doing this, is to reach as many people as possible. So I'm going to do whatever it takes. If it requires manipulation of some sort, well, ask anybody. I guess I'm a great manipulator. But this feed is all about fuck Israel. Fuck Israel. Be proud of your anti-Semitism. Know what that word means. Know what Semitism means. Semitism is Jewish supremacy. Just look it up. Here, I'll look it up for you. For those that don't know. Let's see. Semitism, S-E-M-I-T-I-S-M. It'll do everything it can to try to get you to look up anti-Semitism, right? And even when you look it up, when it first pops up, Semitism, you get one definition from Oxford that says, the fact or quality of being Jewish, Jewishness, which in itself is telling, but it's not like the real definition. So Merriam-Webster definition says simply, 1A, Semitism, a Semitic characteristic or qualities. Right? Can't read backwards, sorry. Not that one. Semitic characteristic or qualities. All of the people of the region, be they Arabic, be they black. Those are Semitic people. Palestinians, Egyptians, Moroccans, and North African Chad, whatever the North African countries are along the top. I don't quite remember them anymore. But that whole region is Semitic. So it's not, Jews don't own the term Semitic. 1B, a characteristic feature of a Semitic language occurring in another language, right? So, like when we say that guy has a lot of chutzpah, we're using, a Yiddish word in our language. That's Semitic characteristics or Semitism. That's a now. The second part of the definition is policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. Policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. Why should any group get favor? What do they do to earn favor over the rest of us? Favor? Favor is a nice way of saying supremacy. So, before you get all butthurt and start using words wrong, hi, Rebecca Thornton Harold. What's going on? Understand that we're going to talk about these things from an educated place, not from the typical place that you're told. The only people you've ever heard talk bad about Jews were crazy Muslims or the Farrakhan crazy blacks, I'm swell. How are you? I'm as swell as someone can be in this world. So I almost feel guilty with how well my life is going compared to those that are getting U.S.-made bombs dropped on them from U.S.-made planes by Israelis. So I don't think that was the answer you were expecting, but that's the answer. How are you? Good, just chilling. Well, if you're going to be just chilling, you might as well be involved in something good. You might as well be learning something, and you might as well be putting your energy into making the world a better place for all of us, right? Because that's what this is about. And we can be entertaining at the same time. It doesn't have to be boring. Once you're an adult, you realize, once you're an adult and you're learning on your own, you're not being forced to just regurgitate. You can question things and can disagree. You realize like learning is actually fun. Why am I live? I think I'm explaining that. I believe I'm explaining that. I'm trying to show people, I'm trying to be the example for the people out there that feel the same way I do, but feel like they're not allowed to say anything. They're not allowed to talk about these things. Because most of you feel that way. Most of you think it's you can talk about Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, you name it. You know, Presbyterians, Mormons, Scientologists, you can call all of them crazy. You can do all you want. Jesuits, the Jesuits rule the world. You can say all those things. But as soon as you start saying, hey, you know, the Jews are the bad guys, everybody gets all upset. And it's really weird considering, you know, with Christians, the Jews are the bad guys in the Bible. And yet somehow Christians believe the Jews are God's favorite chosen people. They're the bad guys. Well, thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate that. We need more people like you in the world as well who recognize what's going on and who hopefully will share this feed, this link on their Facebook page or wherever else people could see this, and hopefully we can bring more people in. Like they accidentally gave us the best weapon we have, which is social media and our ability to communicate with each other in spite of their limitations. You know? Like our parents, our grandparents, all the generations before us, the only information they ever had was like the lowest level. Like even now, you know, we only really know what they want us to know, but we still have access. We still have people with cameras and people in different places that can tell us whether or not the narrative we're being given is true. And we're the only generation to have that. We're like this new amazing generation. Can you ask another question? Because that's a question. Nobody ever has to ask if they can ask questions. That's what this is for. You can't hurt my feelings. You can't say anything that's gonna bother me, other than if you're a big fan of pedos. But you know, shoot, do whatever you gotta do. Do you believe in Jesus? No. Why would I? That's a Jewish construct. It's a Jewish control mechanism. Do you know your Bible? Let me ask you. Do you know your Bible? Do you know where it comes from? Do you know the history of your Bible and why you read the King James Bible like you do? You know who King James was? Do you know that the Dead Sea Scrolls were found in 46, just coincidentally 2 years before Israel was founded? Before they just slaughtered and massacred a bunch of Palestinian people that had been tricked into believing the Brits were there to help them, and then the Brits pulled out suddenly. They were completely taken by surprise and weak and unprepared, and the Jews came in and just wrecked everything. Somehow Israel had a military before there was an Israel. But these, you know, the Jews are who give you the idea of Jesus. Christianity is an offshoot of Second Temple Judaism. It's all bullshit. Do you know why you believe what you believe? Have you ever questioned that shit? Do you have children? Do you have little boys? Did you circumcise your children? Do you know why you circumcise your children? Do you know why we non-Jews circumcise our children? Well, we don't actually do it. More than likely, the Jewish doctor is going to do it. Yes. Did you know Jesus had 5 men write the Bible? That's not how you spell right. But no, he didn't. That's not at all what happened. See, the thing about the Bible that I love to ask is like, just right in Genesis, right? In Genesis, you have conversations being had between the Almighty God, whose, you know, voice our fucking heads, bodies can't even handle, but apparently we could. La Metatron. There's conversations being had between God and Adam. Adam's the only person there. And God is, well, God. God leaves and goes to work and shit, I guess. I don't really know. But there's conversations that are had. In the Sodom and Gomorrah story, when the 12 and 14-year-old girl are making their plans on how they're going to rape their father while they're in the cave, how they're going to get him drunk and have sex with him so they can get pregnant with boys. And they do. And they know it the very next day somehow. These virgins that were offered to a rape mob by their father to protect two guys that had just shown up. This great man, but the conversation had between the 12 and 14-year-old, just like the conversations between Adam and Eve, or when Adam and Eve are actually hiding, or the conversation that the snake had with Eve, all these things. Who was there taking notes? Were there little cherubs, little babies with their wings, writing everything down? And then he said, and then he said, is that how it is? Yes, I go to church. I know. Learn the Bible. What am I saying that's wrong here? This is what I always find funny with church people, right? They don't actually know their Bible. They don't know anything. They believe some really weird stuff and they don't know why. Still in the subs. No, not talking about subs at all. But that title seems to bring more people in, so whatever. We'll see what happens. Why don't, instead of you telling me stuff like learn the Bible, why don't you tell me what I'm wrong about? Jesus had 5 guys write the Bible. Where does the Bible say that? The Bible was written in 1611. King James had the Bible commissioned by the thousands and thousands of different pages. And really, there weren't even that many. At the time, the oldest known biblical texts were from the 900s. You go, well, so a 900-year game of telephone before somebody wrote that shit down? Because, again, the Dead Sea Scrolls weren't found until 1946. In the New Testament, where? Come on, tell me. Learn the Bible. Tell me the thing to look up where it says Jesus had 5 guys write the Bible. Show me. Didn't it have like 100 authors? It's supposedly King James had all of the different variations and all the different writings all pooled together by a group of scholars. And then they sat there at their desks in the 1600s. And they figured out which parts they wanted to keep, which parts they wanted to get rid of, added and subtracted, and then at the end put in, no one shall ever add or subtract from this book, blah, 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 kind of bullshit. They created the Revelation story, which is, if you believe in Revelations, boy, you are dumb. Because that's as dumb as it gets. Is it based off the Dead Sea Scrolls or something? The Dead Sea Scrolls weren't found until 46. And really what happened was, supposedly, 1 or 2 of the Dead Sea Scrolls were found in this cave system that's only 150 yards away from the settlement, the Bedouin settlement. And it was a cave system that's on the outer ridge, like there's a big dried up lake there. And on the outer rim of the lake, this one cave, but they lost it. They couldn't find this cave system that was 150 meters away from the settlement for another couple years. Basically, they then manufactured the rest of the scrolls and then hid them in the cave system that they happened to find again once Israel was real. The Dead Sea Scrolls, but the thing is, again, most Christians think the Dead Sea Scrolls are like Christian proof. The Dead Sea Scrolls were dated to 770 AD somehow. You know, they have that magic Scantron laser thing that can date things somehow. But the translations of the scrolls, it's all Jewish stuff. It's all Jewish stuff. So for Christians to think the Dead Sea Scrolls are all about them, they're wrong. It's all about Jewish bullshit. Well, do not tell me what I do and do not know. Ben, going to church, sens, S-E-N-S. I was 12 and now I'm 47. So you should probably know more, right? Instead of typing that line of shit, you should have been able to back up what you're saying. And I asked you specifically, where does it say that Jesus had 5 guys write the Bible? You've been going to church for a long time. You should just be able to spit these things out. Bro, he's on crack. You better off having an argument with a wall. Yep. All these crack blunts. I know in the hood, it's really commonplace to smoke crack blunts. See, this is literally like, this is the best that Christians can do. As soon as they start feeling outmatched and they start understanding that the person they're talking to probably knows more than they do because they don't really know shit, they start going to this desperate point where they start arguing their own narrative and coming up with things to justify their own stupidity. Like, if you were really arguing with a crackhead, that would be fucking pointless. And that's what they're hoping. They're hoping that instead of me continuing and you continuing to maybe be affected by it, you just go, oh yeah, that's crack. Okay, so I don't have to listen anymore. Somehow what I'm saying doesn't make any sense. Even if I was on crack and I beat my wife and I beat my children and I drank all day long and I sold drugs and I did all the bad things, does that make anything I'm saying any less true? Somehow, does that make these observations about what's going, does that make it any less true? No. I am not dumb. Oh no, you just said I am not D-U-M. Oh, come on, lady. What are you doing? If you're gonna say I'm not dumb, spell dumb correctly, please. I know your phone or your computer would alert you to the fact that you haven't spelled this correctly. It's going to give you the option to put the right word in. Why aren't you putting the right words in? Come on, you want to be taken seriously. You're trying to convince people you're not stupid. Yet, you're either stupid or lazy, one of the two. And laziness is a product of stupidity. So, any way you slice it, it's stupid. But instead of any of this nonsense, you could be answering the direct question I've proposed to you now multiple times. You made a claim, and I'm asking you, where does it say Jesus had 5 guys write the Bible? I'd like to know. I want to read it. I want to look it up. You tell me what passage it's in, what chapter, whatever, and I'll look it up. I'll read it right now. I'll prove myself wrong. How's that? You said you've been going to church now for, what, 35 years? No. Yeah, 35 years. In 35 years, you don't know your shit that well yet? What's the very first thing God does? After God turns on the light, what's the first thing he does? I love this because Christians never seem to know this answer. 4 days went by before God made the sun and moon, so how did 4 days go by? In the side Old Testament. I thought you said it was the New Testament. You said New Testament the first time. Now you're saying it's the Old Testament? Pretty goofy. Pretty goofy. For me, I look at it like I would be embarrassed, right? If I claimed to be something, if I claimed to belong to a club or a group of any sort, especially 35 years in the group, and somebody asked me really simple questions and I couldn't answer them, I'd be embarrassed. I would, like I can't imagine doing that shit. Another YouTube dysfunctional guy. Yep. The guy that's making the video questioning reality and looking for why he's wrong on things. That's the dysfunctional guy. Not the person that makes the profile and then comes and talks shit to make themselves feel better. Interesting. By the way, like, share, subscribe. I'm supposed to do that, and I always forget. So, like, share, subscribe, do all those things to help the video grow, help the community grow. I'm actually surprised by the numbers that I've received lately. So, let's do this. And I do not have to listen to you. Are you a child? I thought you said you were 47 years old. Stop acting like a child. Whatever chip you have on your shoulder, you got to let that go. I'm asking you to elaborate on the thing you claimed. I'm asking you, I'm not telling you, I'm asking you a question. I'm giving you the platform. Swell, my guy. I love the fact that my guy is a thing. I know when it first started catching on, I thought it was a cool thing because it showed you just how many people were watching that one pedophile hunter. But then I think a lot of people it's sort of caught on now because so many people say it. But for a while there, it was like it was an acknowledgement to the rest of the community. Hey, I watched this guy. Do you watch this guy? He's a good guy. Jesus loves you, bro. Yeah. You know what? If Jesus is real, just like if you guys believe that prayers actually work, if you believe that the God that makes arrogantly, mind you, if you arrogantly believe that the God that makes the universe work listens to your prayers and changes its mind based on your prayers, and you're praying for anything other than, dear God, please stop all these clergy in your house, in the church, from raping children. If you're praying for anything else, you're a selfish douchebag. None of your problems are worse than these poor children being continuously raped and held hostage by the Vatican and in the church. Right? If you think prayer works even a little bit, that's the only thing you should be praying for. And yet, all of you selfish pricks who actually have the arrogance to think God listens to you, you pray for, I need a job. Oh, I sure hope this dinner goes good on Friday. Please, God, give me the strength. I want to stop drinking. Please, God, give me the strength. Stand by me to quit drinking. I know you've stood by me while I was drinking all these years, but now stand by me to not drink. Like, it's just such arrogant bullshit. You don't think those kids literally, as they're being raped by clergy, and the God, you know how, like, nowadays porn has the 4K cameras, you can zoom in and move and get as close as you want, change the angle, whatever. God has every single angle you can imagine of the children being raped by a grown-ass clergy man wearing a yarmulke, because for some reason, the cardinals and all the highest-ranking Christians all wear yarmulkes. Yarmulke. While he's crying as he's bleeding and there's shit and it's just awful. You don't think he's praying, please God help me, please God help me, and God's not answering, huh? I pray for Trump. Yep. You pray for Trump. Because instead of acknowledging that pedophiles should die and that the church should deal with its pedophile problem, you think the billionaire who hung out with best buddies with Epstein, who's probably raped his fair share of children, you pray for him because you're smart. Let's see. I'm 47, but you are not my mom. Tartarian. LOL. Tell Jesus to come down and show us his sweet abs. Exactly. Wouldn't that be great? Jesus is real. He knows what we want and need already. Yeah. Just not the children being raped by clergy. As to this, dust to dust. Love is real, death is an illusion. Oh, just hey, Goyim, you dumb Goyim, just follow the leadership of the Jews in charge, God's chosen people. You just follow what they tell you to do, and when you die, after you live a life that's really hard and full of all kinds of shit, and you see all these Jews living this crazy life that's just paid for by you, once you die, oh, then the real party starts. Then you can go hang out with Jimi Hendrix up in heaven. Even though you're probably going to hell because most of you had sex before you were married. Yep, that God's real. And Jimi Hendrix is just hanging out up there waiting to meet all of his fans. Not like he did down here where he had security to keep people away. Up there all day, all night, all everything. Jimi Hendrix is just hanging out with people. Dude, I love your music, bro. Then he knows I want to see that sweet six-pack, yeah? So should we only pray for those that need help? Then I pray for you. Oh, says the Diddy profile. Oh. Again, everything in my life is not worse than the clergy raping children. You know what you'll see, people watching, paying attention? Notice how none of these comments agree with me or condemn the fact that the clergy rapes children. They're just mad at me for talking about it, I guess. We are all given free will. God's plan. God's plan. What about God's plan? How can you have God's plan and free will? Satan has the biggest influence on earth. That's why people are nothing negative. It's God's doing. Right. So God is standing there going, okay, you can run faster. You can win the award. You can throw that touchdown. And while he's looking this way, Satan's behind his back fucking with shit. And every time God turns around, Satan just goes behind. Do you know how comically powerless you like Christians are the biggest Satan worshipers in the world. They're the biggest Satanists in the world because Satan has all the power down here. So God, we're all God's children. But God takes us to the daycare where he knows Satan is the daycare owner. And he just, oh, well, hope everything turns out okay. Hope you make the right choices. Do you know how stupid you sound? You know how stupid and powerless, comically powerless you make God sound? Christians are just dumb. They make all these dumb excuses to account for the fact that their shit doesn't make any sense. Like Christians will be like, oh, I saw this one video where this dad shows up to his daughter's car accident. And he's like crying and trembling. And he's showing this picture of the car. It's rolled over. The guardrail is through the back seat or through the front window next to went through the passenger side. And you know, it's just this horrible scene. And he's like, oh, look at this. And my daughter, she escaped the crash with nothing, no marks, just a little shook up. God is good, people. And he takes it and he puts it up in her face. And she's like, you know, thanks a lot, dickhead. Like, I want this embarrassing thing broadcast all over the internet. But he's like, look at how fortunate God is great, people. My daughter survived the accident. So what it is the devil made the accident happen. But before he could stop it, before God could stop the accident from happening, the devil, so instead God, all right, well, I can't stop this accident, but I'm going to save this girl. Do you know how stupid you sound? The idea that God gives people cancer, and then, because cancer's life. It's not, you know, it's just a life. It's a parasite, basically. God gives people cancer, and then only the people that prayed the right way, or that God just decides, because you have to pray about it, you have to ask. Only certain people does God go, okay, you know what? You don't have to have the cancer. You prayed enough. You tithed enough. Because if you know your Bible, God doesn't actually answer prayers. God answers tithing. God answers tithing. God answers giving money to the church. That sounds like a God thing, not a man-made thing. Just dumb Jew, big brother nonsense. God is big brother before there were actually cameras everywhere. They convinced people that there were cameras everywhere, that God is always watching, and God is the connection to the throne. And the last thing you want is something to come down and the throne to find out that you spoke badly about the throne or that you hid extra food or something like that. You didn't pay your debts. Then God's going to get mad and tell the king, and then he's going to kill you. We all get free will. Pray the teachers leave the kids alone. We can get to all of that. We can get to all of the pedophilia stuff after we deal with the pedophilia in the church. Like, you would think that would be the sort of easiest place for God to operate. After that, we'll figure the rest out. With all that money and power that the church has, that they don't use on, exposing human trafficking and pedophilia, because if they did, it would expose them. So now that they're free to do that, we're talking about billions and billions of freed up money that can go towards killing pedophiles. Why not? Oh, this hate is so sad. Yeah, it's so sad that I hate pedophiles. It's so sad that I hate Jewish slave owners. Oh, what's wrong with me? Jesus' mother was a Jew, and he is the king of Jews. And he is the king. Well, if Jesus' mother, Mary, was a Jew, then why is she boiling in a vat of semen, boiling semen, for all of eternity down in hell, according to the Talmud? You cannot say, I didn't know when you were facing judgment. Well, apparently you can. That was always my thing. Like if you're given the rule book and it specifically says you got to live this life to be able to get into heaven, you can't just be like, oh, well, I repented. Does that help? Did you know you weren't supposed to do this? Yeah. Okay. And that's what the Bible says. It's like all those innocent children around the world that have never even heard of Christianity. Once Armageddon starts, well, fuck them. It's their fault. They should have known better. Do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior who died for your sins? That hell! Oh, let's see. God's plan is to give us access to knowledge of good and evil, aka self-awareness, aka separation from his perfect plan. No, that wasn't, remember? Because God's dumbass put the apple tree in the middle of the orchard. For some reason, all the bugs and animals that ate it didn't become self-aware. But when Eve figured out, holy shit, I'm naked, and somehow knew how to make clothes out of leaves, was like, there's bugs crawling in my coochie. That's what that shit's about. I'm naked. I should be covering this shit up. Here, let me fasten this bikini together real quick with some leaves. And then she got Adam to eat it, and he was like, oh, is that why our butts are so itchy? Because the bugs? Okay. Hey, can you make me some of them there shorts? And then God came through, and they were hiding, and God couldn't find Adam. Eve? Adam, wherefore art thou? Adam. He can't find God. God who can see everything, God's plan, he can't find Adam, who's hiding behind a tree. And then he walks out and he's like, here I am. And as soon as God sees him, he goes, oh, why aren't you naked anymore? I wanted you guys to be naked. You ate from the tree, didn't you? And Adam's like, she made me do it. And God's like, oh, you bitch. Well, from now on, women are going to die and suffer throughout childbirth. Now get out. I wanted naked playthings. How did you make those clothes? Whatever, just get out. That's what you believe. God didn't want self-awareness. That was the problem. You dumbass. Suffering is a mental construct of the ego, fantasy. Right. Christians want you to believe that God is the absence of ego, when in reality, what is more egotistical than believing the God of the universe answers your tithing? I would say your prayers, but your tithing. Is anything more egotistical and arrogant than that? Oh, it's not my fault. It's the devil's fault. Oh, it wasn't my accomplishment. It was God's. Everything's God. God did it. You know how stupid you sound? Again, you know what's never, ever, ever, ever happened? It's never, ever happened that some police officer is driving down the street through a neighborhood, whatever, when all of a sudden God appears to him and tells him to stop, go kick in that door. And he's like, I don't have a warrant, but God just appeared to me and told me to kick in the door. And he goes and he kicks in the door and he busts a pedophile ring and saves 15 children. And you know, then he busts the ring and blah, blah. And the Jews come and he's like, you didn't have a warrant. He's like, I know, but God appeared to me. And they're, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, look, my hands are bleeding. And it's never, ever, ever, ever happened. The only time God ever appears to people is for some stupid shit. If there is a God, it's a huge fan of pedophilia, and that's not a God I want to be a part of. So if you're cool with that, that says a lot more about you than it does about me. I pray to align my own will with his, not the other way around. What kind of stupid shit is that? Do you know that God doesn't give a shit about what we do? God doesn't care about how we treat each other, whether we're good to each other. We have hate in our heart. Don't have hate in your heart. God says nothing about that. God doesn't care how we treat the world. We destroy the world. It doesn't care. It doesn't matter. We dump chemicals. It doesn't care. God doesn't care if we eat the animals that he literally told us not to eat. You know, the animals are for use for our toil, not to be eaten. They were to be used. The seeds and the fruits were to be our meat. You don't know your Bible, though, but your God doesn't care about any of that. The only thing your God cares about, the only thing that keeps God from flooding the earth again, has nothing to do with debauchery. The only thing that your God cares about is that Jews continue to cut and suck little baby dicks, 8-day-old baby dicks. Because for that first 7 days, they're impure because they pass through a nasty vagina. Yeah. So they have to, the impurity has to wear off after 7 days. But that's the thing. God made the covenant with Abraham, the father of the Jewish people, and the founder of, you know, the father of all of the three major religions. They're all Abrahamic religions. The father of the Jewish people, the bad guy, the head bad guy in the Bible. God made the covenant and said, you know, as long as you circumcise yourself and all your slaves and then all the Jewish children from here on out, I will show you rainbows in the sky that validates my promise that I will not flood the earth again. So Abraham circumcised himself, which probably felt amazing. Then circumcised all of his non-Jewish slaves, which is what we are. That's what we're doing. When we're circumcising our children, we're marking ourselves as the slaves, you know, as Jewish slaves. And I'm sure he was doing a lot of sucking too. But that's why you circumcise. That's you, and that's the thing that matters to your God more than anything else. Is God doesn't go, you know what? Let's just get rid of that unnecessary, which it's not. It's glands and shit. It actually would give the woman more pleasure, which again, God doesn't care about women. It's traumatic. It's just the worst. It's up there with the worst things we do as a society. Probably the worst because we do it voluntarily. We voluntarily put our own children in such an awful position, especially us dumb goyim who do it within hours of birth. As this kid's just sort of figuring out what's going on, we put it through trauma, unimaginable trauma, and wonder why we have the highest prison population. Why we have a population so obsessed with dicks and rape culture and all that. Gee, I wonder, is it because we're traumatically abused from hours after being born? No, nothing to do with that. The Jews are smart enough to wait so the kid experiences love and sunshine and happiness and, you know, all kinds of different emotions for 8 days, 7 days before it goes through the trauma. But the Goyim, we get a doctor who couldn't care less doing a vicious fucking surgery without anesthetic most of the time. And the baby is left on its own to deal with this, not passed around the party with love, just sat in till it comes out of shock, because the baby goes into shock. They strap the baby down in a crucifix-like position. Baby doesn't know what the fuck's going on. It was just born. They put this little bell thing around the dick that has a blade on it, and they spin it around, and the baby goes, ah! And it just goes into shock. And they take it back to the incubator until it comes out of the shock, and then when it's out of the shock, it's exhausted. And they take it to the parents like, look, little man had his surgery. He's sleepy now. He was a good, tough soldier. And the parents are like, oh, little man, blah, 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 blah. But this kid's already been fucking dealing with this shit on its own for an hour, 2 hours, who knows? Cold and alone, not knowing what the fuck just happened to it. It's in so much pain, and it's wrapped in a diaper that where it's peeing all over its own wound. This is what we do to children. Willingly, purposefully. Because of Jewish bullshit. And if you say it's medical, then why isn't it medical in Europe? Why does medicine and science say it's not worth the risks in Europe, but here in the States where the Jews control things even more like openly? Answer the question. Stop saying stupid shit. All you idiots on here talking about stupid shit. Answer the questions. How far is the distance between South America and Australia? I literally know an ex-nuclear sub-captain. You don't know what you're talking about at all. Yep, that's what it is. Everybody knows an ex-captain, an ex-this and ex-that. Yet no rabbis, no religious scholars, no Jews at all come through here and defend Jews. Isn't that weird? You would think there's probably a lot more Jews than there are some mariners out there. And yet the only people that ever seem to come through are the people on submarines. I think Earth is in a black hole. There's no such thing as black holes. That's just dumb nonsense. More fear porn. More invisible fear porn that you just have to trust at any point could wipe us out. Well, at any point a black hole, CERN is going to open up black holes underwater, blah, blah. Fucking A. They have us so stupid. Everything that we believe in is death, doom, and gloom, is destruction. Whether you believe in religion or you believe in the best thing that can happen to Christians is the rapture. When it comes to science, we're long overdue for a rock, invisible rock falling out of the sky, wiping us out like the dinosaurs. Long overdue for a pole shift. Long overdue for a black hole to eat us. We're long overdue for blah, 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 blah. It's all just dumb. We are stuck in a black hole, man. Earth got sucked in. Yeah, that's what happened. So dumb. Why would you believe such utter nonsense? Talk about unprovable, stupid nonsense. Such a distraction. So how do you know your thought? You're right, though. You seem very bad. How do I know I'm right? Because nobody... Dude, I do this for hours a day, every day. And I put all my shit out here and say, prove me wrong. See what you know. Not what you know. Like, do your best. You tell me what I'm wrong about. And I say this every day and nobody ever comes through and does. I get a lot of shoot the messenger people, but I don't get anybody that actually shoots the message. You get people that'll come through and tell me I am wrong, and I go, okay, I am wrong. Why am I wrong? How am I wrong? Tell me what I'm wrong about. And it's nothing. Yeah. We are, I promise, it makes sense. How does it make sense? It supposedly a black hole annihilates everything, so we'd be annihilated. It's just silly. Exactly why we are living in a simulation. Why would you want to believe that we're fake? It makes more sense that we're in a giant structure, a giant manipulated environment, a reality TV show for a people that's 100, 200, 500, 1,000, 10,000 years more advanced than we are. But I'm real. I know I'm real. Our reality is real. It's just manipulated. But again, more death, doom, and gloom. Right? We're not real. We're in a simulation. Blah, blah. Like it's all just fear porn bullshit. Everything is fear porn. Everything. You believe in space, fear porn. You believe in submarines, fear porn. You believe in anything, it's all just fear porn to keep you in this constant state of fear, whether you realize it or not. Like everybody has that thought in the back of their heads that at any point a meteor could come out of nowhere and wipe us out. If somebody told you that NASA just announced there's a meteor heading for us, and you wouldn't even hesitate. You'd believe it in a heartbeat, and you'd be terrified. Everything is about fear propaganda. We're going to die. COVID is going to die. It's the most deadly thing. It's so deadly and contagious, you don't even know you have. We have to stick something way up your nose to your brain, scrape around in the only area that simulates getting injected. So if something was on the end of the Q-tip and they scraped around, well, it would get into your bloodstream like if it was injected. That's the only way that would work. But it's just a coincidence. So why do a lot of my thoughts happen? I have no idea what to say to that. A lot of people's thoughts happen. Like, why? One of the things that they've done is they've made they fucked with you, right? The idea of a purpose, God's plan, a purpose, that everybody's special and all this shit. If you have a purpose, that means somebody gave it to you. And if you don't know what that purpose is, and you're constantly trying to get this thing that you don't know what it is, and you always feel unfulfilled, it's because of that bullshit. Again, more psychological warfare being put on the goyim. You have a purpose in this world. You got to reach your purpose. You got to reach your potential, and yada, yada, yada. Nobody's like, hey, most of us are just followers, and it's okay to be followers. As long as you're following the right thing, it's totally okay. Your value is being a valuable member of society, whether it's a good friend, or you create something, or you raise good children, or whatever it may be, contribute. But this idea that you're special, you have special abilities and all that. I mean, I'm sure that there's more to us than we know. I'm sure that we're capable of a lot more than we know. But like, let's just say in a different society, instead of having deja vu and people going, oh, deja vu, and making their stupid, what if deja vu happened and there was something else that you were supposed to do? Maybe sit down and meditate or whatever it is, stop what you're doing and really go into, who knows? Maybe that would lead into more of something. But instead, everything's just so easily shut down, and they give you all of the answers before you have the question. That way, if you ever come up with the question, you already have it, but more than likely, you won't ask the question. But this is how this all works. And at the end of the day, I hate to say it, because you have to. The key to the enlightenment, so to speak, is to be just as critical and just as questioning with the things that you like as the things that you don't like. And so I have to ask myself, why don't we live in the utopian society that we have the technology, the means, and the resources to live in? We should be living in a utopian society. Why don't we? And just like I said, we're the product of a more advanced version of us. We're the reality show of a more advanced version of us. Let me ask you this: what what TV shows do you watch, you personally, that aren't conflict based? Every single thing that's conflict is the backbone of entertainment. Will your sports team win? You know, will Vanessa marry Jim Jim and blah blah? You know, like it's even kids cartoons. Does the round peg go into the square hole? That's conflict. Conflict is the backbone of all entertainment. Everything that's entertaining is conflict based. The more conflict, the more entertaining. People don't watch NASCAR so they can watch cars go around in circles. They watch NASCAR to see the crashes because it's conflict based. People, if you go on YouTube, there are endless videos of horrible car crashes that if you watch them enough, they make you not want to go drive. Because there are so many of those car crashes that aren't people's fault. That's they're driving and somebody hits them. Something fucked up happens. A tire flies off a truck and smashes. Like whatever. It happens. It's filmed. The fact that it's filmed means it happens a hell of a lot more. The whole undercarriage thing with semis. The fact that all semis don't come standard with undercarriage protection, which would save so many lives every year, but would cost the trucking companies like an extra $100 or $200. And the Jews that run that shit are like, fuck it, we don't care. Fuck do we care? Go ahead, tell me what I'm wrong about. Tell me about any of these things that I'm stupid about, right? You guys are smarter than me. I'm the one that's going live. You're the one that's hiding in the comments behind your anonymity. And if you say something that I can't answer for or that makes me look stupid, it's not like I pre-read the comments. I read them as they pop up. If you say something that puts me in a spot, stumps me, whatever, you guys are all going to see it. I'm going to be like, You guys have all the advantage here. I'm the one that's live, that you can judge my every movement, my every, scrutinize everything. So just tell me what I'm wrong about. Tell me how I'm wrong about anything I talk about. Don't tell me that I am wrong. Tell me, or if you do, then tell me why. How? I don't know why so many people they feel attacked. I think it's guilt, really. Like if you question somebody's religious beliefs and you start pointing out all of the hypocrisy and disgusting bullshit that they overlook to maintain their selfish need to go to heaven when they die. When you start pointing that out to people and they can't answer it, they can't be like, well, no, it's actually this. And well, there is that one time where where it was on film and God came down and fixed that bridge. It had broken down, but then it magically rewound and put back together because God was there. Like, that shit never happens. And they don't have that to be able to fall back on. And most of them don't even know their own bullshit. You notice how I don't know if I did it in this feed or the last one, but I always ask, after God turned on the light, what's the very first thing he does? I'll ask that question and nobody will answer it. Unless they go look, of course. But Christians just don't even know their own bullshit, and yet they want to argue about it because it makes them feel stupid. It makes them feel the ignorance that they're exuding. You start asking them questions they can't answer. And this goes for anything. It doesn't matter. You want to talk politics, you want to talk religion, you want to talk history, you want to talk about racism, you want to talk about whatever. As soon as somebody feels outmatched or that they've run out of shit to say, they start arguing their own narrative. Oh, so what you're saying is, or they'll just start, I start talking about how racist white people are, and they'll be like, they start adding their own, oh, you said all white people are racist. No, I didn't. You're the one that added the all in there so that you would have an argument. Because if I said all, that would be a foolish, stupid thing to say. So you put it in there so that you have, because you can't actually argue against the point I'm making. It's pretty common. And it's literally, this will go through, it doesn't matter what we talk about. It's fascinating to me how similar, got me all fucked up, how similar Christians and Muslims are. I mean, they're Abrahamic religions. They basically believe the same shit, just has different characters. But those two groups will fight each other to the death over which sky daddy is the real one. And they're both ignorant as all fucking hell. Muslims, the arrogant ignorance that Muslims exude is shocking sometimes. Like Christians, it's just different, right? Like I've had multiple times recently where and each one is the same in that they think is like the Christians think Islam and all the other religions are just stupid. How could anybody possibly believe such stupidity? Obviously, Christianity is the real one. And every one of those religions thinks the same thing. You know, they think the same thing about theirs and the other stuff. And it's just like you get these Muslims that come through. And I'm surprised because normally they're way too cowardly to actually get involved in the conversation. But this time they were, and this one guy was saying that the Quran is full of miracles. It's undeniable. Islam is undeniable because the Quran is full of miracles. And I go, all right, and just give me. This is where I never get the credit, right? Because I'm putting myself, my feed, my reputation, everything I believe, everything on the line here. And I'm doing it live. Again, you guys aren't live. You could disappear in anonymity and nobody knows who you are. I don't even remember the name of the guy that was saying this shit. But I said, give me one miracle. You're claiming there's thousands in this book. I'm saying give me one. And you would think, if that's the case, if you're going to give me one, again, you're not under the gun there. You can wait, you can think, you're not live. You're going to come at me with the very best one first. Your strongest argument first, your most undeniable miracle is going to be the first one you say. And this guy says, well, the word man appears 23 times in the Quran, and the word woman also appears 23 times in the Quran. The same number of chromosomes we all have, and there's no way they could have known about chromosomes back then. That is literally the best miracle that the Quran offers, the most undeniable miracle, according to this guy, has to do with word count. Well, and there's also 360, the day is mentioned 365 times, month is mentioned 12 times, hour is mentioned 24 times. These are all undeniable miracles in the Quran. And for me, I'm just like, man, like it's always shocking to me when I see those stories of like the Waco people, or even Hitler to some degree, where you wonder, like, how did these, especially Hitler was this goofy, effeminate little, weirdo guy. If you actually believe that was just an organic thing, you're foolish. But you read these stories remember the Heaven's Gate cult, that like the comet, they were gonna kill themselves and ride away. Like, how does any one person get so many people to believe in, like, they play off of the already accepted fairy tale, and yet they manipulate it in a way that puts them in charge and these people will sign over their houses and sell all their shit and come live on a compound, pay this guy, let him fuck their wives, their daughters, their underage. Like, how the fuck does somebody do that? How do they get people? Because I'm sitting here going, hey guys, let's make all of our lives better by being honest with each other. And if you guys can best me in any of the arguments, then we'll add your thing to the thing. And if I'm wrong, then I'll acknowledge I'm wrong, and we'll go from there. How about we do that? And I got fucking goofy trolls. Like, what? How the fuck does this happen? Why are so few of you like willing to fight? You want to bitch. Everybody, like, if life was great, if the majority of the people were just happy and living a good life, and yes, some people were struggling, but there were all these programs and there was all this ability for those people to get help, and life was good, and clearly the church was at the center of it, and God was a big part of the things, and just everybody was good, and we all lived these good Christian lives, or Muslim, whatever. What could I say? Right? I couldn't say anything. Everybody's happy. But the fact is, no one's happy. Very, very few people are happy, and even then, I don't understand it. I had this one buddy who was a millionaire, and I used to beg him, like, come on, man, just help. Like, funds, do something, throw some money into the pot, and let's try to fight this thing. And he liked being rich, and I don't blame him for that. But I always, like, I constantly feel guilty for living my life knowing that Israel is committing genocide right now. I'm lucky that my parents happen to have sex here after my grandparents came here and had sex, supposedly. Thankfully, I'm not some little kid that's born into a Palestinian household and bombs are being dropped on me. Like that is how anybody just like, well, I'm going to go swimming at the pool, and I'm definitely not going to say anything about this to anyone because I don't want to get ostracized. I don't want to get kicked out of some place because I said words other people didn't like. I started talking to my teacher, my friend, or my kid's teacher about this the other day during counseling. And it was like, I disagree with this idea that like, I do this feed, and after years of doing this feed, even starting in the beginning, it never affected me, but like, there's literally nothing anybody can say or do that's going to hurt my feelings on here. I don't give that power to anyone. And the truth is, you can't shame somebody for good shit. Like all the people out there that you can't fat shame. Well, if being fat was okay, then I couldn't shame you for it. You don't muscles, like people that are in great shape, you don't muscle shame them. Really good looking people, you don't good looking shame them. Even skinny shaming. Like if somebody skinny shames me, it's like, well, yeah, okay, I'm skinny. Yeah, I'm not fat. So what am I don't care. But when if I walk up to you and I say, ha ha, you have octopus arms and you have snakes for hair and you're 15 feet tall and your shoes look like motorcycles, you're going to look at me and be like, what, dude? Okay, and just keep going. But if I come up to you and I go, hey, I really care about you. I know you don't know me, but I really care about everybody. And you clearly have an issue with weight. And I want to do everything I can to help you get down to a healthy weight where you can live as long as you can and as happily and healthy as you can. You would have already tried to hit me. I wouldn't be able to get that out. God, how dare you fat shame me? Oh, I'm big and beautiful, blah, 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 and all this other bullshit that's going to happen. It's going to come out. Because it's true. You wouldn't get mad if it wasn't true. So all the bullshit that people say on here, it's not true. What do I care? And it's strange how, when it comes to the PC movement, The only people that have truly benefited from that are the Jews. The Jews are the only ones who the PC movement has made them completely insulated, and we can't even talk about them. You know, sure, women's like, you know, average dude can't walk by and smack a chick on the ass anymore. It's a good thing. White people can't walk around like, morning, nigger. That's a great thing. But that doesn't mean all those things are fixed. But in our society, you know, most people hear me say the word Jew and think you can't say Jew. They're so insulated, we can't even talk about, like, they've tricked us into thinking that saying the Jews have all the money, the power, and the control, that is a slur. Think about that. They've tricked you into thinking that's a slur. All the slurs that exist against Asian people, against black people, against white people, rednecks, blah, blah, blah. And then the Jews, you throw, well, yeah, and then the Jews have all the money, and they control the entertainment industry, and the government and all that. They have all the power, they control, they have all, yeah. Huh. Like, isn't that insane? Don't you think that's insane to think about that? I do. Just like it's insane that Christians believe that Jews, the bad guys in the Bible, are your Christian God's chosen people. And the Jews look at Christians like they're fucking idiots. They're just dumb goyim. You know, no different than cows, sheep, tables, chairs, whatever. Here for their usage and to be used and thrown away if necessary. But they think you're an idiot for everything you believe. And yet you believe those are your God's chosen people. Do you know how fucking stupid that is? Revelations 3:9. Revelations is the dumbest book in the Bible. It's dumb, not the worst. The worst is Sodom and Gomorrah. But Revelations 3:9. Let's see what this says. Revelations 3:9, King James Bible. Let's see. This is funny. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Whatever. Dumb nonsense. It doesn't matter. The whole Negro to from Hebrew Negro thing, it doesn't matter. All that's doing is another way of validating some bullshit that doesn't fucking matter. You want to argue about who the real Jews are? Well, what would it matter if the Bible's not real? If that's just a bunch of bullshit, then does it really matter who the real Jews are? No. What matters is who claims to be the Jews now and uses that as an excuse to manipulate the world and commit genocide. As we speak, they are committing genocide. If you don't oppose genocide, I really can't relate to you. I don't understand that. I mean, it's kind of important. What's kind of important? I'd love to know, what do you mean? You have to be more specific. It's kind of important when it comes to controlling the masses. Having people believe in nonsense fairy tales that put one group in charge that happens to be the group that commits the worst atrocities. The shit's baking your brain, bro. Says Frank Vrooman, says a Jew. Notice how a Jew doesn't come in here and say, hey man, I think you're mistaken. You've got this wrong. You've got that wrong. It just immediately, it's a shoot the messenger thing. If somebody's on the fence and they're like, hey, is this guy making sense? And they're, oh yeah, the weed's making his brain, he's crazy. Yeah, that's what it is. He's crazy. I don't have to listen. You should be able to debunk what I'm saying. the people that come in and talk shit should be able to debunk. You're Dutch. Okay. Does that mean you're not Jewish? I see where you're coming from for sure. Hey, man, I think you're wrong about this. All right. How and why? Which part? Let's see if you can elaborate. Like, this is why it's always so interesting, because you have all these people that believe something, and they don't really know why. You know? Why? So you're saying there's no Jewish Dutch people? No? Like, it's, you know, it's crazy. Civic pride and racial pride are the dumbest fucking things, man. Having pride in something you had nothing to do with is stupid. Save your pride for your accomplishments, not for your parents' habits. But so is cutting their dicks and sucking on them, like the Jews do. Like we have to be honest. Like the whole thing is, I try to live my life this way. You know, whether it's my own personal bullshit or it's how I view the world. All right, let's talk about what we believe. Let's look it up. Let's see what information is available. Let's see if the information available backs up the narrative that we believe. And whatever thing makes the most sense to everybody involved, then let's do that because it makes the most sense. You're not circumcised, man. No, unfortunately I am. My parents were stupid. They didn't know. You know, they probably weren't even given the option. Most people aren't. Most of the time they're just like, all right, we're going to take him. And you're like, okay, sign this thing here. Okay. I support Christians, but not Jews. Why do you support Christians? They are very cunning. They've somehow got us to all put them on a pedestal. They've somehow, because you're Christian. You have to. It's part of your Christianity. Why do you think that exists? Who do you think gave you your Bible? Why do you think they put their book in the front of every Bible? If you got a job at McDonald's and all of the like handbooks and all of the literature you read and all that stuff before you got started, it always talked about how to build a Whopper. Every single thing started with how to build a Whopper, the history of the Whopper, check out the Whopper. Wouldn't you start to be like, hey, what does Burger King have? Burger King always first. Wouldn't you start to think Burger King maybe owned McDonald's? My sons thanked me. Yeah, they did, huh? Because they know. Most parents aren't given the option. No, they're not. It just sort of happens. And most parents are unaware of what happens. They think it's like a surgery where they think there's like, they don't even bother to think, like there's no anesthetic. They don't knock out babies within hours of being born. They don't even numb it most of the time, which they couldn't anyway. They just do it. And the baby goes into shock. The baby's put in a crucifix position. And we only do it because of Jew nonsense. It's not real. Right? It's not medically necessary or anything. If it was, it would be a thing all across the world. But in Europe, they're like, no, it's not medically necessary. The risks don't outweigh the benefits don't outweigh the risks. It's actually a negative thing. It's frowned upon. And the females think that circumcised penises look fucking weird. You know, because that's not what they were grown. That's not how they grew up seeing it. Building a Whopper at McDonald's. Did you not understand the analogy? Maybe have someone else explain it to you. Anti-Christian values. Christianity is an offshoot of Judaism. Learn your history. Christianity is Judaism. My son was definitely traumatized. Listen, again, think about it. Think about it. So the male is born. He is hours old at the most. When it's goyim, we are hours old. We are just making these connections. Like our eyes are just starting to be able to see, and we don't really know what's going on. And we're taken away from our parents. We're put in the incubator, and then we're put into the cold operating room where it's cold and it's sterile. They strap us down. We have no concept of what's even about to happen. We can't even really see. We don't know. They put the bell on the top of our penises. When they spin it around, the blade comes out, and it cuts the penis. And the baby goes, ah! And it goes into shock. It doesn't know what the fuck just happened. All of a sudden, there's so much pain that they go into shock, and they're strapped down. And then it's wrapped up so they can pee all on it. And they're taken, while they're still in shock, they're taken by these nurses and these doctors it's routine. They're not even they don't care. They just take it, put the baby in the incubator till it comes out of the shock, and then it's exhausted, and they take it to the parents. Oh, he had his little surgery, and the parents, they don't know. That baby could have been sitting there for an hour or two till it came out of shock. The Jews, they let the baby go through, they do it on the 8th day, and they do it because the vagina is disgusting to Jews. And the baby passing through the vagina needs to have the nastiness wear off. For 7 days, after passing through because in the Jewish tradition, the period is nasty. Like the women in the Hasidic Jewish traditions, every single month during their period, they're sort of shunned and left alone, and it's bad for them. Then after their period, they have to go to a special nurse that puts them through a whole examination to see if there's any blood left. If there is, they have to wait and then come back. But if there isn't, then they have to go to a spa where they're cleaned inside and out. Every month they go through this because Jewish men think they're disgusting. And then when they come home and they're freshly clean, they have to put out right away because that's the only time the totally heterosexual Jewish men are into them. So the baby that goes through the vagina can't be touched. He's gross for 7 days. It makes you wonder, do they even get touched by the father for the first 7 days? I don't know. But the baby, at least it gets to experience love, happiness, warmth, food, all these different sensations. And it's not just hours old making those initial connections. By the 8th day, if you look at a newborn baby that's hours old compared to a week old, it's drastically different. They've filled out, they're moving, they've lost that bluish color, they're a people at that point. So the fact that they do end up experiencing trauma, but even then, they get the trauma, it's then sucked on, which is fucking gross and weird, but then they get packed up and passed around to the family, showing them that it's all love. We love you, here we go, we love you. It's different. It's not the same thing that's done to us, and you wonder why the American prison population is the highest. I mean, it's a disgusting practice. Why do we have such a rape-focused, penis-centered society? Because look what's done to us within hours of being born. Against our will. Look at European cathedral Jews didn't do none of that. Yeah, no. Circumcision is the number one thing in Judaism. It's the number one mitzvah. It's the number one tradition. It's like the most important thing in Judaism is circumcision, which why another reason why the females don't matter. All they're there to do is make more penises. But they're just trash. Jewish women are treated like trash. But not sure the brisk. It's not a brisk. It's a brisk. But yeah, it is better. It is because again, it's 8 days later, and it's a party surrounded by love. There's love all over. The kid's not stuck going through fucking trauma and shock all by itself, not knowing what the fuck is going on. Just say it's grandma's least favorite grandchild. Just say no thank you because Christian people are not in the era that was a covenant in the Old Testament. Not now. You need to believe Jesus dying on the cross is what you need to. That's what? You don't even make sense. And it's a covenant from the Bible. It's the only reason why God doesn't destroy the earth. God made a promise with Abraham, the father of the Jewish people, the main bad guy in the Bible, that he would never destroy the earth again as long as Jewish people cut and sucked their baby boys and circumcised their property, their slaves. So Abraham made that covenant with God, circumcised himself, and then circumcised all his slaves. And God said, to show you I'll never do it again, I'll show you rainbows. As long as I keep showing you rainbows, you know that I'll never flood the earth again. Don't care how you treat each other, don't care how you treat the planet, how you treat the animals, nothing. Just keep cutting those baby dicks. That's what God said, that's why you do it. Because you're you're allowing usually Jews to mark your children as Jewish property. And that is what circumcision is, you dumb motherfuckers. Phrase that's not Jew, that's plus that's a Jew, not Gentiles coming. It's called a mikvah. It's rainwater bath. A mikvah. Well, the Brit Milah is the service, and the mikvah it's no, it's not mikvah. It's the suction. I don't know what the fuck it's. I don't really care. I don't care about their dumb terminology. This is that crackhead again, isn't it? Yep, says Colleen Babs. Is that another dumb Jew? Gotta be a crackhead talking. So are you a good Christian? Is that what you're saying? As a good Christian, is that how you handle things? Somebody doesn't necessarily agree with what you agree with. So instead of being able to have a reasonably intelligent conversation, you just want to point out how stupid you are? Mental illness is no joke. If mental illness is no joke, look at this guy laughing my ass off, then why are you making jokes about it, you dumb ass? Seriously, is this the best the system can throw at me? This is the best opposition I can get? Some dumb broad who doesn't understand how religion works? Right? Is that what it is? My eyes can't even focus. I can't even read what you're writing. Yeah. Just so dumb. It's so dumb how, like, women are so fucking dumb. How many women are fans of the Bible, right? I love when women come in here and open their big dumb mouths about religion, especially about Christianity. And I go, yeah, well, what about New Testament, Timothy, 1 Timothy 2:11? What about that? 1 Timothy, I don't know. Let a woman learn in silence with full submission. I permit no woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She is to keep silent. Do you guys like that? Do you guys like that? Like, is that part of the Bible you believe in? You support that part? Oh yeah, like, share, subscribe, forgot. It's been a while, but I forgot to say it. Like, share, subscribe, do all those good things. Help the algorithm, blah, 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 blah. You know how that goes. You've heard it. It does help. I admit it does help. It's what it is, you guys. And maybe maybe if you share it enough, we can find somebody smarter than Colleen to come here. Or oh shit, Colton. Sorry, I thought that said Colleen. Yeah, I have 45-year-old eyes. They don't work so good. Sorry. I thought you were a broad. You're not even a dumb broad. You just sound like one. My bad. Keep talking, bud. Looks like you're doing really well. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Typical Christian. Comes in, talks some shit, runs away with the tail between their legs. Why would anyone believe anything where that's the best that can come at them? This is the best. Long live Israel. Why? It won't. I'm telling you. Goyim are going to be taking over here soon, and Israel will be gone. We will be. The only problem with that is the Samson option. And this is, again, one of these things that most people just don't understand. Israel has it on the record. Like, they've made an open threat to society. If the Israelis ever feel that Israel is in danger again, they will launch all of their nukes in every direction and kill everyone. They have that on the record. Now, if you believe nukes, which is why they tell you to believe in nukes, but if you believe in nukes, that's a pretty scary philosophy. That's a pretty scary idea. Oh, well, there was a coke sniff. Yes. When you do cocaine, you blow your nose all the time to get the cocaine out. Isn't that what people do? I know when I was younger, because I couldn't do that shit now. Ugh. Last time I did coke was a long time ago, and I was like, my heart's beating too fast. I don't like this. I never did like uppers. So, nice try, though. But again, you gotta love the whole concept of, like, when squares talk about drugs, like, they don't know what they're talking about. So they say stupid things like you're snorting coke when you're blowing your nose. When you do coke, you do everything you can to not blow your nose. You're trying to get that drip and blah, blah, but you're just dumb, so why would you want to get that shit out? Exactly! Because dumbasses don't understand how drugs work, so they just say stupid things. It's like when you get the squares and they go, oh, I'm so high. Hey, man, what's going on, man? I'm so hungry, man. I need a whole bag of Doritos, man. Yeah, nobody's like that. If you're like that in real life, weed will make you more like that, for sure. But nobody's like that. That's just part of that bullshit. They've done everything they can to be like, go ahead and drink. Drinking is great. Go to the bar, get hammered, but don't drive home. But drive there, but don't drive home. You can drink the poison all you want to. Oh, smoking cigarettes, go ahead. What was it, in the 90s? The cigarette companies bought the rights to kill people in perpetuity without ever being allowed to be sued for $180 million, like 2 weeks worth of fucking product. They'll never have to pay the consequences again because they paid $180 million one time. Like, it's amazing how stupid we are. Dude, you're rambling about nothing, says Zachary Jew name. Yep. Rambling about nothing. You're pacing around your room basement, getting high and talking to yourself, buddy. Check yourself in. You need help. Why do all of the fake profiles say the same dumb shit? Instead of actually addressing anything being said, it's all about I'm crazy. I need to check myself in, so anybody watching, you're listening to a crazy guy. This is crazy. Like, it's just the same stupid shit over and over again. You're not smart enough to debunk anything I say, so I should stop saying it. Because, goddamn, the last thing they want is Goyim thinking like me. Y'all think this man's crazy? I knew what's going on. Somebody has to pay retail. He's not crazy though. Well, I mean, again, it just depends. Do you think there's some all-knowing, omniscient, omnipowerful being living up in the sky who has who can get this close to my face? So he can do that anywhere in the world. So he's getting that close to children being raped if that's what it wants to do by the church. The church is consistently raping children, and the God that watches everything is watching that happen and not doing anything about it. You guys believe in that shit? That's awesome. Trump, says some dumbass. Like, I love when that happens, because it's like basically like, I'm too dumb to say anything, so I'm just gonna say this about it because I want attention. When people tell the truth in the world full of lies, the truth seems crazy. It does. What are your pronouns? God is everything, though. Ooh, is it? Is it really? Do you think the earth is flat? Of course. I think the earth is not a round ball flying through space. That shit is goofy as hell. But hey, if you want to believe it, it's not surprising. Darkness and light. The Catholic Church is not of Jesus. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's amazing. The arrogance of people, right? The arrogance to think that the club that produces the way that you think, that gave you the book, that fostered all that knowledge, that built all the churches and all that shit, that's literally like the source of the belief, that they're wrong and somehow you're right because you're smart enough to see that they shouldn't be raping children and they should be helping and all these things that are wrong with it. But because they've brainwashed you with the fear, you can't quite let it go. So you hang on to it and go, well, the source of it's not right. I know the actual truth. And it's amazing how we do that, how well the brainwashing works. What shape is the earth? No idea. I tend to think it's a dome, it's a structure with a dome over the top. How big is that dome? I don't know. You know, it could be a tabletop-sized dome that the people on the outside can shrink to get into. But see, people will be like, that's dumb, that's dumb. How far away do you think we are from shrinking technology? How far away do you think we are from invisible technology? How far do you think we are from being able to build a dome that the things inside don't know they're in? And we have invisible cameras and all kinds of shit. And how far away do you think we are from that? Do you think we're 50 years away? 100 years away? 1,000 years away? 10,000 years away? Do you honestly think it's not possible? Like, I don't think we're that far. I think we're 50, maybe. Maybe we can even do a lot of that shit already. But at least that's something that gives answers to the questions. And it's not just some dumb nonsense. That's the same story. The Big Bang and God are the same story. It's just, it's just told a little differently. But it's the same story. Jesus is the way, the truth, the light, and the life, but the world is flat. Yep. So anybody that believes in Jesus and all that shit, it's always funny how stupid Christians are. I've already asked this question, but I'll ask it again. After God turns on the light, because remember, God doesn't make the sun and the moon until day 4, which I don't know how there could be any days, but whatever. After God first turns on the light, what's the first thing God does, Christians? Come on, let's see how well you know your Bible. Submarines not real. No, they're not. I don't believe so. I have no fear of Jesus. Mr. Know-It-All is bad. I believe it's a dome. Because that's clearly what we're looking at. There's something up there, and it seems to make the most sense. I mean, it could be something different, but according to damn near every narrative that's ever existed in the world, including your Bible, there's some sort of indestructible dome up there. Just look at Operation Fishbowl. when the governments of the world worked together to launch nukes at the dome to see if they could get through it. And they couldn't. This has nothing to do with the shape of our planet. Of course it does. The same they that lies to us about everything else lies to us about the shape of the earth that we live on. And as long as you think we live on a ball flying through space, they can create fear porn about it. They do it all the time. Literally a couple of years ago, September 23rd or something, they were like, it could be the end of the world because certain there's an astronomical alignment or something that's happening that matches a story in the Bible. Or it's like you're combining astrology, voodoo, with biblical stuff and trying to come up with a doomsday scenario. Everything we believe is about doomsday scenarios and about keeping us in fear. And if you believe you live on a planet that we're actually long overdue for a rock to fall out of the sky and wipe us all out, well, at any point, if they want to wipe something out, they could say a rock fell from the sky. Nathan! Nate!
Yeah, he's done.
Okay. Why are you breaking something? Just walk away from it, dude. Let's see, how big are those clouds you have there we go. Schizophrenic parent. Like, it's weird how people just throw this around. They must not know what it means. I actually read what it means yesterday, so if you want to know what it means, go look it up. But schizophrenic paranoid. So I'm definitely not looking out the windows thinking people out there looking at people in the. So there's not paranoia there. And schizophrenia is voices talking to you and hallucinations and shit like that. So it doesn't work. But it's weird how all of the trolls say they're like, is it really that all of these NPCs have the same dumb programming that they can't even come up with different mental shit? They can't even come up with different burns. They all just say the same thing that doesn't actually apply. Why does everything they do have to point to how stupid and uninformed they truly are? And it's always the same dumb, no picture, the same profile. They spell the same words wrong. They speak in the same cadences. Like, this is where most people just don't understand. Have you guys heard of Team Jorge? If you haven't heard of Team Jorge, you should definitely get to Googling. Because Team Jorge is the smoking gun, ultimate proof that Israel controls social media and the narrative. Controls the United States, controls all of it. Team Jorge, Jorge, is a pseudonym for Tal Hanan, an ex-Israeli Special Forces operative who ran a covert black ops operation out of an unmarked, big, huge, well-funded building that specialized in cyber espionage and had been doing it for 20 plus years, bragging about interfering in 33 elections, 27 of which they were successful. They were shown to have had over 40,000 social media bots at their disposal. And that's just one. That's just one Black Ops Israeli operation. Like, it's proof. It's the system telling on itself. And whether you know about it or not is up to you, because this is like the biggest. This is when they have you believing that Russia interfered in the 2016 presidential election where Trump lost by 2.7 million votes, but the swamp that he was going to drain put him in anyway. They have you believing that Russia interfered to put Trump in office. He lost. So if they interfered unsuccessfully. But there's literally no evidence to show it. And what they want you to believe is that, like, you might have been willing to vote for Hillary, but some ad popped up or some post popped up, and because of that post, that lying Russian-made post, you changed your mind to vote for, like, that's what they try to say. When the reality is, clearly, Israel interfered with the 2016 election like they always do. AIPAC shouldn't be a thing that's allowed to exist, but it does. And Team Jorge is that exact thing. That cyber espionage is exactly what they specialize in. And there was a story done by Al Jazeera about how Israel disproportionately covers Israeli news compared to Palestinian news, and how they they censor and shadow ban. And the interview was with a guy called Barbink. His last name was Barbink. And he was the former head of the Israeli cybersecurity apparatus. And he literally said that they have their bots, their machines set up to find anybody talking about Israel, talking about Palestine, talking anything. They can have it set to any parameters they want, which means they can find people like me. And when they do, they, quote, contact Facebook, which is, again, I don't know how they do that. You try to contact Facebook, see how that works. They contact Facebook, and Facebook, quote, usually complies with the request to take down whatever they want, or shadow ban, or whatever. Flat out admitting that, yeah, Israel controls social media. Why do you think Facebook is blue and white, Israeli blue and white? Run by Zuckerberg. You go ahead and tell me how anything I just said wasn't right. You go ahead and tell me how Project Nimbus, or is it, I think it's the Nimbus, whatever it is, Project Nimbus, where Google and Amazon have multi-billion-dollar contracts with the IDF, with the Israeli Defense Forces. And these contracts have a stipulation that says Israel is allowed to use the technology carte blanche, however they want. Neither Google nor Amazon is allowed to restrict or deny use to any operation, any arm of the military, anything they want. They're allowed to use it however they want. Even though Google and Amazon's guidelines strictly say that their technology isn't to be used to facilitate any sort of terrorism or anything like that, and they deny it, people like Portnoy, another Israeli, high-ranking Israeli, Portnoy, probably Dave Portnoy's relative, he literally bragged about, or maybe it was a she, bragged about how Israel is absolutely using this technology on the battlefield, and it's absolutely helping, and she won't say how, but they're absolutely taking advantage, while both Amazon and Google give these boilerplate, we do not, blah, 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 our technology. It's literally all happening right now, right in front of you. While you're fucking distracted by Tartaria, or you're distracted by Jesus and religion and which Sky Daddy's the right one, and you're distracted by Trump, and you're distracted by pedophile Hollywood and pedophile government. You're distracted by all these things. The one thing that if we all focus on and we overthrow, not only does it stop the genocide that's happening, it also overthrows the people that control the narrative. So we have access to all the truth we're looking for. We can actually get answers to all these questions. Oh, not as many comments as I thought. Let's see. You wouldn't need invisible cameras if everyone had 2 cameras on their phone all day. Yeah, but at the same time, stop, Nathan. You know what, dude? Come on. Nate, you're done, dude. Stop talking. Come here, please.
So I spawn stuff. I spawn these little pig.
Wait, stop.
Yeah, it's fun to describe it.
Stop. So wait. So You know you're doing
That
it,
was
right?
like 15 minutes
Stop.
ago.
You know you're doing it, right?
That was like 15 minutes ago.
You know
but
you're
yes.
doing it, right?
Yes, Dad.
Okay, so you can't get mad if you're doing it, right?
Yes, Dad.
So
but
if both of you agree to stop, then this won't happen again, right?
Yes.
You agree that you won't do. Stop talking to me like that. You agree that you won't do your part anymore, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
He was breaking stuff.
I hear you, and it's in the past now. So he's not going to do his part. You won't do your part, correct?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Think about like the deadliest shooting in American history prior to the Vegas shooting was the Pulse nightclub shooting. And this is you're told, I believe it's 16, maybe it's 18, 16. We're told that in modern times, in an age of 2 cell phones, at a gay club, not a single person had their camera out and was going, doing one of those during the shooting. Every time there's one of these shootings, the Trump shooting, that's my favorite right now. Why is nobody talking about how ridiculous that story is? The Trump shooting is the most ridiculous narrative they have given us in a long, long time. Trump said there are tens of thousands of people at the rally. Where are all of the cell phone videos and live feeds from the shooting showing us every fucking angle possible? I saw one video that supposedly showed the shooter from like behind Trump's left shoulder and above. And you could see the shooter's head walk along the building, then it disappeared behind this awning. Then it came out around the awning, and you could see his head. And I guess he then opened fire right after that, supposedly. But the video stopped, so you can't see anything. There's no footage of it. And so, when I saw it, I thought that's a WWE blade job. That's what happened. Because I didn't actually see it live. I saw it after the fact. I came right home and I saw it. And you guys have to remember Red Shirt Guy. You guys remember Red Shirt Guy? He went by Joseph. He even said, I'm just going to go by Joseph. He said that he saw it all happen and he was sure that the shots came from behind Trump's left side. And that the guy that got killed was in between the shooter and Trump. And he knew that because the guy that got killed, his head exploded from the back to the front. He knows that. He knows he was familiar with the way things work and blah, blah, blah. Familiar with gunshots. And he knew for a fact that the shots came from behind. Trump was in between the guy that got shot and the shooter. That's how the new narrative is spread. Now, Trump is said to have been shot from like the front and to the right. Yet when he got shot, his head was turned. And isn't it crazy? His head happens to be turned, so I don't know how the bullet didn't instead go through his head if it came from the front right like that. But he happened to turn his head, so there's not even footage. Like, they can't even slow it down really slow so you could see exactly when the bullet hit his ear and the little spray of blood. Nope, none of that. He happened to turn his head. And he dropped down. And then the Secret Service covered him up, and not knowing whether there are more gunmen, explosions, anything like that going to happen, the people behind him just sat there. There was a woman directly behind him to the left with a big iPhone filming it, and she never stopped filming. Where's her video? But they covered Trump up, and then a few seconds later, they let him stand up. And now, for some reason, they have female Secret Service agents. Makes no sense, especially small ones. The one happens to be right in front of Trump. So you have 2 big guys on either side, and then this small female that just happened to frame Trump's face. So he's allowed to stand up and go, fight, fight. And they walk him out, and he's going, they don't know if there's more shooters. But they're letting him out do what he's doing, whatever. He's just doing it. They rush him to the car, they shove him in, and then you see my favorite part is the fat little Secret Service broad with the curly hair who has her gun and she's going, she tries to put it away and she can't put it away. So she's like, what? Oh, what do I do? Oh, that shit's so funny. Where are all of the cell phone videos? All those people, none of them ran. Nobody was like, shooting. Everybody just watched. And then you have Trump at the Republican National Convention who says, I'm only going to tell this story once and I'll never tell it again. You know why? Because he can't get the details straight every time. If he tells it one time, then he's not held to the standard of being able to tell the same story over and over again because he can't. And even the story he told was bullshit. And then they have the fireman's jacket on the stage, except it's spelled wrong. And they claim that, oh, well, it's a big name, so we couldn't fit all the letters. No, you had the right amount of letters. You just had one of them wrong. But this was supposedly his old fire jacket? Gosh, that's weird. And then everybody involved, all of the victims, all the victims' families, everybody is just tight-lipped. Nobody's saying anything. The people who got killed, nothing. None of their family, nobody. The shooter, his dad. Yeah, his dad says, I'm not going to talk to anybody until I talk to the police first. I'm not going to even talk. I love my son. He's a good kid. And then you look up that kid. Guess what? He doesn't have a social media presence. 21-year-old kid has zero social media presence. Gosh, that's strange. But he does show that he donated to this at one point. But he donated to the Republican thing, but he's a registered Democrat, or he donated to the Democrat thing, but he's a registered Republican, and it's literally as much bullshit as they could give us. And then it just disappears. Trump wasn't demanding answers, and Trump hasn't, all of it. It's all just gone. The stupid guy in the bushes got more coverage than that did. And of course, nobody but me is asking where the fuck all the videos are. Where are all the undeniable live feeds and videos that had to be going on at that time? Tens of thousands of people. Have a good day. I believe in the Bible. Of course you do. You're stupid. You already said that. We know. We're just an alien experiment. Aliens are stupid. If you believe in aliens, you don't understand how the universe works. If we live in an ever-expanding universe, then nobody'd ever get here. Working in front of right in front of them. It's not paranoid schizo, it's narcissistic delusions. Oh, narcissistic delusions. How is it narcissistic? How am I putting myself in some sort of superior position? See, it's at least you're trying to answer the question, but I think it's strange how, of all the things that you finally decide to point out, it's this. It's not that you're gonna say, it's not that you're gonna point out anything that I'm getting wrong, any of the things that I'm talking about. Seriously, Nick, if that doesn't stop, dude, come on. Just stop. Just stop. Yep. If that's the best you can do, I mean, it makes me feel good, right? Knowing that I'm talking about all of these like really, fundamental aspects of society, of belief and all that, and I'm questioning it all, and I'm poking holes in it. And instead of being able to actually poke holes in anything I'm saying, the only opposition I get is people going, "You're crazy. You're crazy. You don't think like I think. You don't just believe it. You ask questions, so that makes you crazy." And I always I find that so fascinating. It would be easier to find proper opposition. It would be easier to find people who are, even reasonably intelligent, who could make even like minor arguments. You know what I mean? But this is all I ever get, man. Thinking you have all the answers and everyone else is wrong. Never said I have all the answers. But see, the crazy thing is this is like the whole, people that win things going, oh, I didn't, like, when somebody like an Olympian wins, and they go, all credit, all glory be to God. It's like, God wasn't the one that didn't go to dances and didn't go out and ate, a horrible diet and missed out on all kinds of things so that they could be the best athlete they are. God had nothing to do with that. You did that. You need to give yourself that credit. And you see that in so many different ways where people, they do something amazing and it's not them because it's funny because if you were to say, well, thank you, I struggled and I sacrificed and I didn't do things while everybody else was out partying and having a good time. I was working and I getting up early and sacrificing and I just worked my ass off just like all these guys. And today, you know what? Today I was the better man, but it could happen to anybody. Anything could happen, but I worked really hard to get this. And yeah, I'm pretty awesome. If you said something like that, you're going to be a dickhead. But if you sort of insinuate that, oh, well, all glory be to God, like God did it, that God wanted you to win, that God made you catch that touchdown, that whatever, that makes you humble. Because most people don't know what the fuck humble means. But that's the thing that's absent the ego. Thinking that God favored you to win the thing, that's the acceptable thing. Not acknowledging your hard work and your sacrifice. Like, that's what this whole thing is part of. Like, the idea that, oh, you think you know things, you think you know the answer. Well, I actually do think I'm really smart. And I think compared to most of you who are probably arguing based on feelings and or, you're barely remembering shit that you learned in high school because you haven't bothered to look any of this stuff up anytime recently. So you're arrogantly arguing something that you barely know out of a reactionary, like, fear-based, because you don't want me to be true. You don't want me to be right because you like your dumb narrative. And it's all part of it. It's all part of keeping the goyim stupid and compliant and weak and not believing in ourselves and not believing in what we're capable of and not giving ourselves credit. Like, if I sit here and I were to talk about somebody else, right? If I were to talk about, oh yeah, have you guys seen that feed from that one guy? Oh, he's so smart. He just, everything he does, he's right. He's so intelligent the way he looks at things and he questions things and he's so scientific and, blah, blah, blah. If I did that, nobody would have a problem with it. There'd be some insecure goofballs who are like, oh, you're gay, you like that guy. Other than that, everybody'd be okay with it. If I say those same things about myself, knowing that I've put in the effort, that I've put in the energy, that I've done all the reading, that I've, tried to figure things out, nope, that makes me an asshole. Now I'm an arrogant asshole because I believe in myself. And that's what they've taught us. That somehow you're more humble saying that God favored you than you are saying, hey, I worked really hard for this. And why do you think they do that? Because, oh shit. They do that because they want us, whoa, that's way too close.
Out of the house, out of the island.
Whoa, what is going on there? They do that because they don't want us to realize how amazing we are and how capable we are. If we start, instead of giving our credit away to some Jewish concept, and we start taking that credit and being proud of ourselves, like pride goeth before the fall. Like, you're not supposed to be proud. You're not supposed to think you know things. You're not That's this narrative, this brainwashing is. Guys! Okay, Nick, I can tell just by the tone of your voice that you know you're being the jerk right now.
I'm not.
Stop.
No, I didn't.
You-
I said no, but he's like, no, the bet's already started.
Okay, well that shit's ridiculous, and you're not doing
No,
that.
Dad. He said, wait. He said, okay, fine. And then after he said,
Okay,
he's
that's
trying to make
not
it
real, and we're not gonna hold somebody to stupid stuff like that because you don't like it when it's done to you.
Like your watermelon cake.
The water. I didn't know that you guys.
Whatever it is, you don't like when it's done to you, right?
Fine, Nick,
So stop
most of
it.
the time that I better contrive with totems.
Get ready to shut it off anyway, guys. Get ready to shut it off. Wait till you guys see the Twinkie laden looking irresponsible lunch that these guys get, because boy howdy do we just fill our kids with shit. Let's see. The older you get, the more you learn, but you realize there's more than you know. Like I say all the time, the more you know, the dumber you sound. And that's only if you understand it. If you understand how dumb you sound. I think the more I read, and I'm supposed to believe that we figured these things out, we know these things, like it's all dumb. Like submarines is dumb. You don't understand it because you've never looked it up. You've never tried to prove that submarines exist. Go try to find videos of submarines on YouTube. You think finding videos of submarines swimming through the water, not boats going across the top of the water. There's plenty of videos of that. But videos of submarines going in and out of the water, surfacing, swimming, blah, blah, blah. Hunt for Red October shit. Good luck. I promise you won't find it. And you think, like I'm making the ridiculous argument. It should be easy to prove me wrong. But it's not. I didn't even know I was right. Like I just, again, I'm the one completely at risk in what I'm doing because I'm saying like the standard acceptable narrative isn't true, and I don't think it is. So I'm gonna try to figure it out. And when I look into it, it's not that I end up feeling stupid because, you know, oh, wow, look there's tons of evidence. I guess I was wrong. I had no idea. Like, it's just like if you've ever seen people who were like, you know, they were shitty about flat Earth, and then they went and tried to prove that the Earth was round, and they realized they couldn't. And you start going, wait a minute. Why is it so difficult to prove the Earth is round if it's round? It's 2024. It should be super, super easy to do because at the very least, we've been going to space forever and blah, blah, blah. And once you understand that, like, and you start applying the same sort of knowledge, like, wait, let me see if I can prove this is real. Let me see if I can prove submarines are real. And it's like, you can't. You know, that's the crazy part is you end up sitting there looking at it and going, this makes no sense. Why? You know, there should be hundreds of videos showing this. There's hundreds of videos showing the outside of the submarine. There's hundreds of videos showing all inside the submarine, walking around and not feeling any of the motion of the movement or anything like that. But here you guys go. Here's your Twinkie lunches. full of nothing but fake bullshit.
Oh,
Unfortunately, you guys are stuck with that
These
white bread
terrible
right
looking-
now. Aren't they terrible?
yeah,
Isn't it?
so terrible.
Isn't that terrible?
Totally-
Look at how
Are you almost
irresponsible
done,
we
Dad?
are. Doesn't matter, does it? Shut it down.
I want to eat a junk food.
All that junk food. We're such bad parents. Our poor children. Won't somebody think of the children?
Dad, come play with the balls.
No.
Please, Dad.
Sure. I'll get on it right now. It's my biggest concern.
Can you just finish
Yep.
the last bit of the stuff?
Yep, I'll just finish right now. So you guys are good, because that's what I care about right now, is that you guys get to watch videos. You need to go out? No? Okay.
Dad, just tell him the
Shush!
balls died.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing how purposefully stupid we all are. The things they have us believing in. And then believing that you're smart if you believe those things. You know, you're part of the smart club if you believe in the Big Bang. Like, you're not one of those stupid Christians. You're not some dumb religious person. You believe in science. Science is real. The Big Bang is one of my favorite, like, holy shit. Because I used to believe in it, but always had reservations in my mind. Like, it didn't make much sense. But the Big Bang is just dumb. And the fact that we claim that with our telescope technology, that we can, if we look far enough, we look back in time. You realize how stupid that is? And if you look at the whole Big Bang narrative and how it's presented to us, they always show you this funny little tube that's like the section of Big Bang, I guess we can see. I don't know, but it's like a tube, and then it narrows down into this Big Bang, into the singularity. And the singularity is always shown in the middle of the black stuff. So obviously the Big Bang doesn't create the boundaries of the universe. I don't know. You never get that answer. Just like you never get the answer of what was there before God. There is no before God. God created God. God created God. Did he create God in a place? Was the place already here? Or did he create the place too? And if that's the case, then that's something out of nothing, right? You don't believe something can come out of nothing, right? Isn't that the number one argument against atheists or whatever? Atheists, something come from nothing. But your whole narrative is that something comes from nothing. But the Big Bang is like silly stupid. You know, you're told that the singularity exists. Everything in the universe is crunched down to the size of smaller than a match head. And it's called the singularity. And it's being compressed by gravity. Magical gravity is compressing it and compressing it. And you know, if you compress things so much, like into each other forever, then they eventually explode, right? That's how that works. Especially when you're in a vacuum with no oxygen or anything like that, you can get a big explosion. And I guess that's what happens is for some reason, the Big Bang explodes. Now look out your window. Like, stand outside, go outside and just look around. Do a 360 and just observe everything and think all of that times infinity was crunched down into something smaller than a match head. And when you get your Neil deGrasse Tyson's telling you, they tell you like, and all of the matter in the universe was crunched down into something smaller than the size of a match head. The gravity was so tremendous. If they say it like real enthusiastically, you're like, fuck yeah. But if you just say it like, everything, all of this, everything there's 24 people watching, everything they can see, everything times infinity was crunched down into something the size of a match head. And then, because of that pressure, it exploded. And it shoots things in every direction. Now, if a ball explodes and everything goes in every direction, understand that everything involved in that explosion, the further it goes, the further away it gets from everything else. Okay? That's just a fundamental sort of thing. The further you get from the original point, the bigger the distance is going to be between you and the next closest object. That's just how that works. Mathematics, right there, right? But there's the initial explosion, then there's a black period, then there's the period where the Big Bang is spewing out the star material. Blah. And it's this constant spew of energy and debris and dust and particles and just in all the directions. And again, instead of getting further away from each other, somehow they don't. And there are gravity pockets that just sort of appear. Remember, according to the narrative, we just learned how to fly 100 years ago. And yet we know this is the Big Bang. We know this is how the universe started 13 billion years ago. But there's these gravity pockets. This is my favorite part of the story. I love telling this part of the story. I tell it a lot because I like it. It's funny. But what these gravity pockets do is they start swirling. Twirly, twirly, twirly. They start swirling and swirling. It's like a whirlpool, like it swirls. And as it's swirling in the center, the debris that's somehow close to each other starts getting pulled in. And in these little tiny dust particles, they form clumps. Gravity, right? The same gravity that pressed everything into itself, into the singularity, is now pulling all of this debris into these clumps. Little clumps. And over the millennia, the clumps get bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually, the clumps, in the vacuum of space, mind you, light themselves on fire. And not just like, that's hot fire. Nuclear fire. Plasma fusion, looks like a fuzzy rug up close fire. And that fire lasts forever. I mean, it doesn't really last forever, but it lasts forever. And when you get shit like our solar system, our sun is just a small little clump that made a star. There are big stars like Betelgeuse that are a gazillion times bigger than our sun. It's way out there. You're nothing. You're a insignificant little speck in our sun is the size of the Earth. You can't even fathom how big the Earth is. 26,000 miles across. You can't even fathom how big that is, let alone 400 times it, let alone a zillion times bigger than our sun. But in fried egg-shaped patterns, in rings around these stars, for some reason, I mean, this is a vacuum of space where there's no up or down, there's nothing. For some reason, they have poles, and along the equator line, in a nice neat row, more little gravity pockets appear. And these pockets start to swirl in again. Swirly, swirly. And they pull more clumps in. But these clumps stay small. They don't get big like the center clump. No, these clumps stay small. And instead of lighting themselves on fire, they light the inside of themselves on fire. At least the close ones do. I don't... Well, no, I guess they all have cores, don't they, supposedly? When they make these jello mold shapes where they have these different layers of rock that get formed somehow. Again, if you guys can comment, I'm not seeing any comments, so I must have muted the video again, huh? Did I mute the video again? I mute my video, which means I can't see any comments. That must be it. But they the clumps, they like with Earth, luckily, because it's in the subniveous zone, the Earth starts raining. So it starts raining. And it rains so much that it creates the oceans, which get all salty and shit. And then, like, another rock falls out of the sky. One of the rocks, maybe, they assume, a rock falls out of the sky, and it crashes into the earth, and somehow single-celled organism survives that. And now it multiplies into a double-celled organism, which then multiplies into a blah, 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 and blah, blah. And eventually they form fish. Fucking fish. They just form them. And then those fish, one day, just walk out of the water. They just walk out. They're like, what the fuck? I'm going to walk out. That's like saying us, one day, a human just walks into the water and starts breathing. Well, the fish just walks out of the water and starts breathing. And maybe two fish did because they had to make babies that then eventually turned into lizards, giant lizards, huge, huge lizards. We can't even fathom how big they are. These things are fucking huge. Even though elephants are as big as animals can get, according to science, without their bellies like ripping out and shit. But dinosaurs existed. And some of those fish actually learned how to fly. They turned into big lizards that could fly. Their arms grew wings and shit, and they learned how to fly. They figured out how to fly. And for hundreds of millions of years, these dinosaurs just existed, and they kicked ass. And then another rock fell out of the sky and wiped most of them out, although some of them still survived somehow. And they turned into birds and chickens and shit today. The birds of today are the dinosaurs of yesterday. And then more fish came out of the water, and they turned into monkeys and all sorts of other, like tigers and bears and, giraffes and shit. The fucking fish came out of the water and turned into all these things. And they turned into monkeys, and then the monkeys turned into us. And then within 100 years of learning how to fly, we know this. This is the truth. And if you question this narrative, you are a crazy conspiracy theorist. How dare you? Right? You guys believe that? What's going on now, Nick?
I dropped the crate and I picked it up. I picked it up, but he doesn't think I did.
Nathan! I asked Nick what was going on.
Dad, I dropped the grape, and I was like, come on, the grapes are supposed to fit on. Come on, let's just go grab it real quick. And now he's saying, I already did. I already threw it away. I already put it on my plate. When he's just been sitting there, not moving, not trying to.
Okay, so why don't you pick it up?
Where is it?
Nick, did you pick it up already? Hey, quiet. Nick, did you pick it up already?
Yes.
Okay.
I just did it when he went to see because I wanted him to eat it because it was on my butt.
Why? Okay, so you can go to your room, dude.
Why? Why?
Why do you think?
I didn't do anything. He didn't eat it.
Yeah, but you tried to.
Yeah.
And
And it wasn't actually on my make him do. Ah! Sorry, but that would have been a good prank. Go to your room.
sit down, Sally Sensitive. All right. Well, as much as I'm talking about that, looks like the comments have been shut down, so it always sucks when that happens. And I don't know what else to say. I don't even know if I'm muted again, so who knows? We'll see. But appreciate everyone being here, especially the trolls, because they make the narrative. It would be so much harder for me to prove what I'm saying, prove the interference and all that, if the trolls didn't willingly step up and be that person, play that narrative for me. So everybody that's here, have a great day. Pedophiles, kill yourself. Oh, wait. Don't forget to get your free download, www.the-bilderberg-group.com. The link will be in the description. All you got to do is put 0 when it says how much you want to pay. Put 0, and it's free. Or you can put $22,338. Either way, it's all good. Free's fine. But all we ask is that you share it with someone. So, pedophiles, kill yourself. Everybody else, go get the free download. What do you want?